differently. Birth control is like a gamble. Birth control is its own individual casino where you can go in there and you can put money in, whether or not you're leaving with money. But I was wrong. This was like the birth control I was looking for in ninth grade. Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I am making a birth control video. It's not necessarily a Q&A or anything like that. It's really just me telling my story and why I don't recommend birth control. I'm specifically talking about the pills in this video. I know there are many different forms of birth control, but specifically in my case, the pills. That's what I'm talking about with my story today. This is my story. I'm not a doctor, but this is just what I have gone through, what it did to help me, what it did to harm me. So today I'm going to give you the raw and uncut truth for me. Some people may disagree or say they had a different experience, which is fine because this is my story. I will include some photos of what birth control actually did to my face. And yeah, so let's just hop right in and let's get to it. Okay, so I got my period when I was between the age of 12 and 13, and immediately I realized, well, of course I didn't realize, but shortly over time, I realized I had a very heavy flow and very painful cramps, to the point where I did not want to go to school. I was going through pads and tampons within like maybe an hour and a half, and honestly that's very irregular. They call it an irregular period because you're really not supposed to be bleeding that heavy so quickly. So when you do show those signs, they do tell you that you have an irregular period. There are different ways that you can help with cramps and try to regulate your flow without getting on birth control. And for me, there was just nothing was working like at all. They say to eat bananas to help with the cramps, which I did, but it just was so painful because I was bleeding so much. My cramps were so bad. The first day is typically the worst day for most people, but my whole week was really a week and a half was just straight pain. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything because I was in so much pain. And typically a normal period will last 3 to 5 days. My periods were lasting from 7 to 9 days. And I've even heard stories of people whose periods last much longer than that. But 7 to 9 days is still very irregular for you to be bleeding for such a long time. And it also causes anemia in people who have these irregular periods where they're bleeding so heavy for so long, once a month. And typically, if the longer your period is, the quicker they come back around, if that makes sense, because they come around once a month. So if you're bleeding for almost 2 weeks a month, you really only get a 2-week break in between each period, if that makes sense. Maybe 2 to 3 weeks. You're really supposed to get a full month, but it doesn't really work like that for people with irregular periods. I remember when I got to high school, I turned 16, and my freshman year in high school was when I officially started birth control. And when you take birth control, you really have to set up a schedule. You're supposed to take it at the same time every single day, because if you don't, you could do more damage than good. So it was very important for me to set an alarm and take my pills every day at the same exact time. However, this certain birth control it didn't do anything. It didn't slow my periods down, and of course I didn't expect it to work overnight. We definitely gave it that 6-month period, but even after that time frame, my period hadn't slowed down. I still was having these painful cramps. Like literally, I would be walking and I would have to literally stop in my tracks because my pain, it was like this sharp pain would just shoot into me, and I would literally have to freeze. I could not move until the pain was over. It was miserable. And the birth control that I was prescribed, I was told that, okay, of course it's not 100% thing, whatever, but this is supposed to help. And so the one thing I did notice I was getting were these crazy mood swings. I was I was just so emotional. I was angry all the time. I didn't like my attitude. It was so quick to flip the switch for me. Like, it took the slightest thing and I'm from 0 to 1,000. Like, my hormones were like racing all the time while I was taking this birth control. So after the 6-month period, I stopped taking that birth control, and I don't want to say my period went back to normal because, like I said, it never changed. So I was off of birth control for a while because after that experience, I was just like, okay, whatever. So I got on another birth control, and this one helped with the cramps, but it didn't help with the flow. The flow was still going, but the cramps were still there. So at this point, I'm just thinking, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the issue. But once again, what was happening were my emotions. My mood swings were so prevalent. Like, they were so out there. And it was to the point where I knew I was having a mood swing. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is happening right now because I was happy 2 seconds ago and now I'm mad. And when you're taking birth control, when you're on your period, you already have mood swings as it is, or you have these little like episodes, whatever you choose to call it. But when you're on birth control, you can have a mood swing at any given moment, at any given second, because you're taking it once a day. You're literally, this pill is going through you, it's breaking down in you every day. So you have by all means, anytime, any day, anywhere, something can trigger you, something can set you off. Like, oh yeah, it's any time of the day. And I had started to realize that, and I was getting frustrated because I felt like birth control was changing the way I was acting. So after a while, I stopped taking that birth control. And so my most recent birth control, I did not get on by choice. I had an ovarian cyst, and typically, if you have a cyst, they will either surgically remove it, or they will let it resolve itself, because some cysts do resolve themselves. Or if it's large enough but not small enough, if that makes sense, they'll tell you that they would like you to get on birth control, because birth control compresses your ovaries, and compressing the ovary will also shrink the cyst that is sitting on the ovary. So for me, that was my case. They wanted to shrink the ovary without having to do anything surgically, so they put me on a birth control. And this is literally what everything just went downhill. Now, like I said, this was not my first time taking birth control. So I already knew, like, it's not going to do anything to my period. I'm still going to have these long periods, crazy cramps. I'm just going to take the birth control so I can get my ovaries situated, my cysts situated, whatever. I'll just do what you said. Okay, yeah. But I was wrong. This was like the birth control I was looking for in 9th grade. This birth control, I was having periods for maybe 3 to 4 days max, and I was barely bleeding. I was spotting the whole time, no cramps. Like, it was to the point where the only reason I knew my period was starting was because I had a calendar for it. Like, I wasn't cramping anything. This was like it. I felt amazing. I wasn't having crazy mood swings. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is great. And then my face. So with birth control, like I said, it affects everyone differently. Birth control is like a gamble. Birth control is its own individual casino where you can go in there and you can put money in. Whether or not you're leaving with money depends on how your body reacts to it. And for me, I got a short period, no cramps, but my face, I'm just going to insert the pictures here of what as you can see what my face looks like now. Yes, I have makeup on, but at least you have an idea of what my face looks like underneath my makeup. And I've posted videos without makeup, so you've seen me bare face. This is what this birth control did to me within maybe 30 days of being on it. So as you can see, that was such a hard time for me, because I didn't know it was the birth control that was doing it. I'm thinking something I've eaten, because not only did I have acne, I had hives to go with the acne. Acne and hives are not the same thing. Hives is like some sort of reaction, an allergic reaction to something. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I've eaten something. Like, what am I eating? And I'm not really the type of person to eat the same thing every day or every week. So I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. I changed my skincare routine. I stopped wearing makeup. I was so insecure. I had no idea what was going on, because I get it, like, people have breakouts, but me personally, my face has never done this. And I'm 20 years old, so I'm past the whole acne phase, whatever you get in high school and middle school. I'm like tripping out. I was crying. I didn't want my fiance to look at me. I didn't want to go out, because when people had seen me and they hadn't seen me in a while, they were like, what happened to your face? Like, that was the first thing people were saying to me, and I was miserable. I went into a depression. I love doing my makeup, but I wouldn't do my makeup because the makeup wasn't hiding. Like, these bumps were so hard. They were leaking. They were disgusting. I was having to sleep like this at night, because laying on my cheeks would hurt so bad. I would wake up and there would be blood on my pillows. I was having to wash my sheets and my pillowcases constantly, because my face was literally leaking pus and blood in the middle of the night. It was disgusting. And this went on for maybe, and I know you guys are gonna be like, well, this dummy right here. But honestly, when you're in a situation like that, and like I said, my birth control was doing what I thought it was supposed to do, you're not thinking like, oh yeah, you don't know right in that moment. So this went on for like 3 months before I finally decided to go to the dermatologist to get on Accutane, because I'm like, well, maybe like this is just, my acne was dormant. Like, maybe I do have bad acne and I just didn't know it all these years. And so I went to the dermatologist, and she told me that I have acne that just likes to make acne. It's gonna keep producing acne. So I'm like, what? So like, no way. Like, I don't get breakouts like this. And so she told me that the best way to get rid of it is to get on Accutane. She wanted me to be on Accutane for 9 months. I'm like, what? So all of a sudden, my mom calls me and she's like, I think it's your birth control. I'm like, what? Why would it be my birth control? And she was like, it's just something I've been feeling like. And I'm just like, no way. Like, I don't want to stop the birth control at this point, because the birth control has been doing everything I've been wanting it to do for years. Like, I don't have a long period. Like, I don't have any cramps. Like, this, please don't jinx it and say this is what my birth control is doing. And lo and behold, I told myself before I started Accutane, I said, well, I'm going to stop my birth control for 30 days before I start my Accutane. And so I did. And when I tell you, within maybe a week or a week and a half, my face was literally just, it was just going away. It was just going back to normal, as if it was never there. And I'm just like, well, so this whole time, this has been birth control, this whole time. Like, some people say acne clears up for them, and some people say that birth control causes acne for them. Like I said, it's different for everyone, but for what I went through, that's like not even like healthy. If birth control can do that to someone's face, like, that's not healthy. Like that, I've always heard the stories of birth control, but I always ignored them, because like I said, I get these painful cramps. I bleed all day long, so heavy. I can't even sleep on my stomach or on my side or on my back. I have to like wrap my legs as tight as I can to make sure I'm not bleeding out literally in the middle of the night. I'm having to wake up it's just so much. So like, I would constantly block out what people would say about birth control, because I'm like, look, I need to get something done about this, so I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But no, it's not healthy. Like, even if you miss a day on your birth control, like if you mix up your times, you can start bleeding for days at a time. I have known people to bleed for months because they irregulated their pill intake. Now I get it. You might be thinking like, well, maybe they should have taken their pills at the correct time. No, because first of all, why is it capable of doing that? Like, it changes your body. And like, just because this birth control didn't give me mood swings, what about all the other ones? Like, being able to take over someone's body like that is just not natural. Like, that's really what this video is about. Birth control is just not natural, and it's just not the way things are supposed to be. It's really just that simple. I just no longer can recommend birth control to anybody. I just feel like there are different ways you can do it, because I've had my period since I was 13 and I'm only 20 years old and I have a very long way to go. So it's definitely bearable. Now I know there are definitely other forms of birth control. I don't know how those birth controls affect and interact with people's bodies, but I know the pill, I would never recommend the pill to anyone. And I feel like I can say that and like be okay with that, because I've tried 3 different birth controls and each one of them has done something, either done nothing or done something like whoa. And just so you really see my whoa, I'll insert another picture here. Like, I felt so ugly. Like, I was like, I didn't know how my fiance wanted to be with me anymore. I'm like, it really like took a toll on my security levels. I just believe that just stay natural. I mean, of course, I know this is a very debated topic, I would say, because like I said, birth control does wonders for some people. It just depends on how your body reacts. But I would just say, like, don't do it. Just don't risk it. Find other ways. Work your way around it, because after that, I will never get back on birth control. Ever. And it's not like, oh, you can't take a little acne. That's not a little acne. It was more than acne. Like, my face, I had these lesions on my face. Like, I couldn't sleep at night. It was more than what just being able to look at it. I could feel it. And I was in pain every day. I couldn't do anything. Like, it just, I was miserable. So I will say, do your research and make sure you check your dosage, how strong. If you do decide to get on birth control, please make sure that you ask your doctor, whoever's prescribing you, whatever the case may be, how strong the dose is, because that makes a difference. Your body may not be able to handle that strong of a dose. But in my case, the strong dose helped with my period flow, but did that to my face. The weaker doses does nothing. So it's when you get in a situation like mine, I just rather go without it. Like, that's really just what it is. Go without it. So, yeah, I just ranted about why I do not recommend birth control to anybody. I don't care. You don't have to agree with me, and if you don't have to agree with me. I'm not forcing you. I'm just telling you my story. This is my story. Once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything like that, but I'm just telling you what happened to me and why I just don't think it's just a good option for anyone. There are other ways to protect yourself from sex. Either don't have it or put a condom on, or protect yourself in other ways. Whatever the case may be, whatever you believe in, yeah, just know. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Connect with me. I will leave that Accutane video link down below, and I would love to see you guys in the next video.